Hello, and welcome to the final part of my Searching and Fearless Moral Inventory. The full inventory consists of inventory of attitudes, responsibilities, self-worth, love, maturity, and character traits. This episode covers character traits. The full inventory in a blank template can be found on my blog at childsaddiction.wordpress.com. Inventory of my character traits. It has been said that all of us have three characters: what we think we are, what we want others to believe we are, and what we really are. In fact, we are a combination of all three. Do I try to become less preoccupied with myself, getting interested in things outside myself? Yes. Can I see that being helpful to others is a way out of my dilemma? To some extent, yes. Are my responsibilities to myself kept in good balance with my desire to reach out to others? Right now, I feel too overwhelmed to reach out to others. Do I enjoy going out of my way for others, or am I constantly expecting others to go out of their way for me? I would much rather be going out of my way for someone than have someone go out of their way for me. I like helping people when I can. Have I considered helping out at Al-Anon by accepting a group responsibility? No. Do I make an effort to consider the needs of others as well as my own? Usually. Am I generous with my time in service to others, remembering especially my family members? I try. I'm sure I could improve. Do I try to share something of myself, my feelings, and ideas with others? Sometimes. Have I considered that others may have had as difficult a time in life as I? I have considered that. I understand that I do not know the pain and challenges of everyone around me. Do I steer clear of getting others to feel sorry for me? Yes, I don't need pity, just understanding. Do I see problems as one of the greatest forces for growth in my life, a real gift from my higher power? No, I'm not there yet. I don't appreciate problems. Can I be open-minded and receptive to people with new ideas? Usually. Can I compromise realistically? Usually. Can I do things the way another person suggests? I can if they know more about it than me. If they're just being controlling, then no. But if they sound reasonable, then it's fine. Do I avoid taking another person's inventory? I could do better here. I take the inventory of others in my mind sometimes. Have I eliminated the shoulds and oughts from my vocabulary when I am speaking about other people? Not always. Do I respect the feelings and experiences of others? I do, except when they are trying to control my own feelings and experiences. Have I developed some sense of my right to be treated with dignity? Yes. Can I balance my need to fulfill myself as a person with knowledge of the same need in others? I can, but this is challenging if the needs are opposed to each other. Do I have patience with myself while maintaining a healthy form of self-discipline? I have a moderate amount of patience with myself and self-discipline. Can I patiently teach others what I have learned, appreciating their willingness to learn? I am not always very patient, but I do try. Do I realize that in being patient, I am allowing my higher power to work through time to give me the guidance that I need? I'm sure being patient is what God would prefer. It's hard to guide someone who gives up easily. Can I be accommodating and still maintain self-respect? That can be hard for me to do, but I try. Do I avoid condescending attitudes towards others? I try. Do I realize that my feelings of frustration are decreased as my tolerance is increased? Yes, that makes sense. Do I understand that reality is what is happening, not what I think or feel is happening? Yes. Can I see that facing the truth means not having to deal with dozens of imagined troubles? Yes. Do I believe what is real is happening only one day at a time? Yes, it's happening one moment, 1 second at a time. Do I try to reason things through rather than act on impulse? Yes. Do I try to hear a full story before drawing my conclusions? Not always. I could improve this. Can I give others the benefit of the doubt? I can try. I don't always do that. Do I act on my own behalf and set my own goals? Yes. Do I make my own decisions? Yes. Can I resist giving in just to keep peace when my own welfare and integrity are involved? Yes. Do I try to understand another's position, even though I may not agree with it? Yes, I try. Sometimes I still don't understand because the other person's position just seems irrational to me. Can I work well with others in a group? Yes. Can I accept the leadership of others? Yes. Do I lead by example as well as by words? I try, but don't always succeed. Am I comfortable in my social interactions with others? I am socially anxious unless I know the person well. Do I realize that others may benefit from my shared experience? Yes, I am okay with sharing when I think it will be beneficial or helpful to someone. Do I get involved in the affairs of the world, my community, and my family? I haven't had time to branch outside of my family lately, but I am involved in the activities and events of those closest to me. Do I see making a list of resentments as the first step toward rooting out these resentments? I didn't know that would be a good step to take, so I will do that now. I have felt resentment toward my parents, my spouse, my son the addict, the justice system, law enforcement, the attorney for my son's guardianship case, medical institutions, my son's former psychiatrist, a former boss, religious leaders, the division in the country, people who have ghosted me, people who have unfriended me, and myself. In some cases, such as being ghosted or unfriended, my feelings were hurt because of pride, which was the cause of the resentment. I resented my parents for not being the kind of parents I needed. I felt like their happiness was what mattered most. I resented my spouse for hurtful words and actions. I felt angry to be emotionally last because I don't feel like I've ever been first for anyone. I've resented my son the addict for not being easier and better. I was angry that he gave me so many problems. I've resented the justice system for lax punishment for my son's crimes. I've resented law enforcement for their lack of assistance when I called them. I was angry they couldn't do anything once he turned 17, even though 17 is still a minor. I resented Joseph's guardianship attorney for vehemently fighting against me, which I thought endangered his life. I've resented medical institutions for not being able to properly diagnose and successfully treat my son. I was angry because no one ever truly invested in helping my son. I felt like he was just another patient to process, even though his life was at stake. I resented my son's psychiatrist and the office staff for being incompetent, uncaring, and irresponsible. I was angry when the after-hours staff refused to call the doctor and said it's not important enough to bother him. I've resented a former boss because he wasn't approachable or compassionate, and he was self-centered. I've resented religious leaders for not practicing what they preach. I've resented division in this country because of the hypocrisy, ignorance, and lack of respect is out of control. I've resented myself for enduring things I could have changed but didn't. Once a conflict is over, and I have expressed my anger, can I let it go? I can to some extent, but painful encounters can sometimes become another piece of the wall around my heart. Can I be understanding if involvement in Narcotics Anonymous occupies a good deal of time for the newly sober addict? Yes, that is not a concern at all. Can I take a chance on being disappointed in order to invest in a new relationship? Not really. I'm too exhausted to want any new relationships. I barely have enough energy for my existing relationships. Do I always avoid searching for a hidden motive in what others do? I have gotten better about this. Adults should know how to use words and communicate. I don't have time for games, so yes, I don't tend to entertain hidden motives. Do I avoid discussing another's problems under the guise of it being for their own good? I don't think so. I discuss what seems appropriate and necessary. Do I avoid tattling on others? I do, unless I feel someone else has a right to know something. Do I see protecting confidences as an essential part of the Al-Anon program and as a hallmark of a mature person? Yes, definitely. Do I make a conscious effort to count my blessings? Sometimes I do. Other times I am lazy about this. Can I enjoy the good fortune of others? Yes. Can I avoid blaming others and try to improve my own circumstances? Yes, I can try. Do I look for the best in each situation and person that I encounter? If it's a benevolent person, yes. If the situation is within my control, I am better able to look for the best in it. Do I avoid arguing simply for the sake of arguing? I think yes. I don't like arguing. Do I avoid the use of sarcasm when others do not share my views? Not always. I can definitely be sarcastic. Do I avoid blaming others for my unhappiness? I try, but I'm not always successful. Can I understand why Abraham Lincoln said, "Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be"? Yes, our happiness is up to us. We can decide if we want to move past things, or wallow in misery. Do I recover quickly from disappointment? Sometimes. It depends on how important it was to me. Do I listen attentively when others are talking, or am I just waiting my turn to speak? I usually listen attentively. Am I considerate of others in my use of language and the tone and pitch of my voice? Yes, I try to be. Do I know the difference between asking for help and imposing? I rarely ask for help, and I don't like to bother people, so yes. Do I treat others kindly, considering their feelings? I usually do. Do I refrain from saying anything if I find it difficult to be kind? Yes. Do I see value in simply lending a listening ear to someone in need? Yes. Do I avoid an I don't care attitude about others, realizing that indifference is often more cruel than outright rejection? No, I do have an I don't care attitude. I could improve that. Do I try to avoid being overbearing and overprotective? I try, but my teenagers would disagree with me. They think I'm overprotective. Can I accept the love which others offer to me? It depends. I accept what I want or need. If someone is loving in a way that does not resonate with me, then it's harder to accept. Am I conscientious and tactful in my interactions with others, always considering their feelings? Yes, but I will not do a good job at this if the other person isn't reciprocating. Do I avoid overtalking a point? I can definitely overtalk a point. I could improve this. Have I considered listening to myself as a means of developing a sense of discretion? No, but I could try to. Do I try to avoid wide swings in my mood? I don't usually have to work at this. Are my feelings expressed in appropriate ways? I don't always express my feelings. When I do, sometimes anger gets the best of me. I could improve this. Am I sensitive to the feelings of others in a healthy way? Yes, unless I feel attacked. Do I use silence to help me regain stability and composure? Sometimes. Do I try to say what I mean and mean what I say? Yes. Do I do what I promise to do? Yes. Can I be counted on to act the same way when faced with the same situation on different occasions? Typically yes, but I consider all variables that could result in a different reaction. No two situations are exactly the same. Do I try to be myself, avoiding putting on a front to impress people? Yes. Do I avoid paying compliments when I don't mean them? Yes. Do I avoid manipulating people by telling them what they want to hear instead of what I really think or feel? Usually. It depends on the situation and how much I want to avoid a confrontation. Am I honest with myself about my motives? I think so. Do I avoid rationalizing or justifying my faults? Usually, but not always. Can I keep from telling lies, even small ones? Yes. Can I be straightforward with others, letting them know me as I am? Usually, but it depends on the situation and how much I want to invest in them. If the person will not be a regular part of my life, I will not let them know me very well, only surface-level stuff. Am I careful never to be hostile or vicious under the guise of honesty? Yes, but I don't always succeed. Can I admit to myself and others when I am wrong? Usually. Do I avoid following up an apology with an excuse for my behavior? Yes. Have I grown past the point where I rationalize and claim my bad behavior is reasonable because of my situation? Not always. Am I a gracious winner? Yes. Am I aware that being humble is having an honest appraisal of myself? Yes, but it's more than just that. Do I know that a humbling experience is never a humiliating one? I didn't agree with that until I looked up the actual definition of humiliating. Have I learned that humility is a sense of proportion between me and my higher power? No, I hadn't thought of that. Can I share others' problems without worrying about them? Not if I really care about the person, no. Do I realize that action is often an antidote to worry? That makes sense. Do I use the Serenity Prayer to find a sense of peace? I have sometimes. Do I avoid using chemical substances unless prescribed by a physician to achieve a state of relaxation? No, I drink more than I should. Can I realize that a realistic amount of tension in most situations makes me keen and more able to function well? Yes. Can I use the slogan "Easy does it" to my advantage? Yes. Have I ever listed and analyzed my fears? I have to some extent, but not fully. Do I see value in talking to someone about my fears? Yes. Do I accept a certain amount of insecurity in my life without fearing that everything will fall apart? Yes. Can I start each day with hopes of making it better than the one before? I'm not sure. I usually start each day just wanting to get through the day. Am I willing to do what I can to fulfill my hopes? Maybe. I'm not sure. Do I believe in a higher power who can help me find a better, happier way of life? Yes. Do I try to expect the best in each situation I encounter? No, I do not expect the best. Do I give myself a chance to have a bright future? Yes. Do I try to share the best part of myself in my relationships with others? Yes. Have I done all I can to rid myself of guilt feelings about the past? I am working on this. Do I exercise all my senses in a positive way? Not all of them all the time. Am I willing to apply the just for today concepts in my life? Yes. Do I realize that willingness to do something is the first step toward actually doing it? Yes. Can I stick to a task once I've started it? No, not always. Do I have an organized way of tackling my duties? Sometimes, yes. I make lists. Do I try to avoid thoughtless delay in actions or decisions because of laziness or carelessness? I can delay what needs to be done out of laziness. Do I realize that procrastination often leads to justification for missed opportunities? No, I don't realize that. Am I aware that being late shows disrespect to those waiting for me? Yes, but it also depends on the situation. Do I still care enough to make changes in my life? Yes. Do I have a purpose in my life? Yes. Can I discipline myself in a healthy and comfortable way so that I can accomplish things? Usually. Can I be trusted with responsibility? Yes. Have I learned to say no at times? Yes. Do I avoid feeling responsible for others' lives but see myself as having responsibilities to others? I am getting better at this. Do I appreciate my talents and abilities? I'm not sure. Sometimes. Can I discipline myself enough to develop these talents and abilities? Sometimes. Do I realize that these are gifts and use them in service to my higher power and my fellow man? I have a hard time recognizing my gifts and talents, but I do have a desire to serve God and others. Am I thankful for present blessings? Yes. Have I ever considered making a list of the things I am grateful for? I have done this many times. Do I take time to express my thanks to my higher power? I have done this many times. Do I know that I won't have finished the job when I do manage to finish the fourth step? Yes, the fourth step is just another step on the journey. I don't know that the work will ever truly be finished. I think it continues throughout life. Character checklist. Although we tend to lean toward one or another trait, we will probably find that most times we fluctuate between the extremes listed here. Aware of others or self-centered. Aware of others. Helpful to others or self-indulgent. Helpful to others. Generous or selfish. Generous. Thoughtful or self-pitying. Thoughtful. Open-minded and gracious or smug and stubborn. Smug and stubborn. Constructively critical or judgmental. Judgmental. Respectful or disrespectful. Respectful. Patient or impatient. Patient. Tolerant or intolerant. Tolerant. Realistic or unrealistic. Realistic. Reasonable or unreasonable. Reasonable. Assertive or submissive. Submissive. Cooperative or domineering. Cooperative. Outgoing or withdrawn. Withdrawn. Forgiving or resentful. Resentful. Trusting or suspicious. Suspicious. Trustworthy or prone to gossip. Trustworthy. Content or envious. Content. Agreeable or disagreeable. Agreeable. Cheerful or depressed. Cheerful. Courteous or discourteous. Courteous. Kind or unkind. Kind. Loving and caring or indifferent. Loving and caring. Discreet or lacking discretion. Discreet. Stable or panicky and violent. Stable. Consistent or inconsistent. Consistent. Sincere or insincere. Sincere. Honest or dishonest. Honest. willing to admit faults or self-righteous, willing to admit faults, humble or arrogant, humble, calm or worrisome, worrisome, relaxed or tense, tense, confident in having faith or fearful and apprehensive, fearful and apprehensive, hopeful or despondent, despondent, optimistic or pessimistic, pessimistic, living for today or living in the past, living in the past, industrious or lazy, lazy, prompt or procrastinating, prompt, purposeful or aimless, purposeful, responsible or irresponsible, responsible, using talents and abilities or disinterested in self, using talents and abilities, thankful or ungrateful, thankful, willing to continue to seek emotional and spiritual balance or complacent, willing to continue to seek emotional and spiritual balance. My positive character traits: kind, honest, responsible, generous, empathetic, compassionate, helpful, thoughtful, understanding, and have a good sense of humor. My negative character traits: quick to anger, overly sensitive, overprotective, emotionally closed off from others, pessimistic, unforgiving, defensive, judgmental, excessive worrier. Having now come to the last page in this workbook, we might ask ourselves one final question: what have I accomplished? If we didn't skip any pages, we have read and have written answers to many questions. We have identified with some, we may have denied others. We may have agreed with some stated premises, we may have disagreed with others. We may feel better about ourselves, or we may not. There were no guarantees made when we began, and there are no rewards, no promises of a better life, instant recovery, sobriety, or emotional stability. If we didn't skip any pages, we have read and have written answers to many questions. We have identified with some, we may have denied others. We may have agreed with some stated premises, we may have disagreed with others. We may feel better about ourselves, or we may not. There were no guarantees made when we began, and there are no rewards, no promises of a better life, instant recovery, sobriety, or emotional stability. What we have done is use a suggested tool, this workbook, to try to make a searching and fearless moral inventory. We have followed a progression of steps in order to make our lives manageable, and we have come to the point in the 12 steps where we are supposed to admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We take the steps, and when we finish the order, we take them over. We take them out of order if we need to. The steps are the tools, we are the users. The self-searching suggested by Step 4 is a long-term undertaking. It must go on for as long as I remain blind to the flaws which create so much trouble for me. I must go on day after day trying to face myself as I am, and to correct whatever is keeping me from growing into the person I want to be. As I review each day and think over the consequences of what I have said and done, I can go on to Step 5. Thanks for listening. Join me next time as we move on to Step 5.